Hello, guys. Yes, I know I'm doing another live stream. But this live stream, I'm going to read a fanfic from a fanfiction of Harry Potter. The relationships, this is from Archive of Our Own beta. The reading is explicit. I'm not gonna try to say it. Archive warning. Creator choose not to use archive warnings, I guess. Categorize is male on male. Yaoi, if you do not want to hear me read yaoi, then out. If your heart content of yaoi, love it, then just watch me and just hear me read this. The fandom is Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling. The relationships in this is Draco, ex-Harry, ex-Blaze, ex-original characters. Which I already know who the two original characters. I read this and my emotions are over this. I proofread this. Additional tags, part of a dracken universe. Language, English. There is more to this. There's a couple parts to this, but it's very different than the original story, and it collections a page fandom. I read every single chapter. If there's a new one, I would do a live stream and edit. The summary: Harry comes into a very expected inheritance. He's a creature both rare and very dangerous. A creature that is blacklisted by the British Ministry. Now he must avoid detection at all costs. Willis, I guess they're trying to spell wild. Choosing his life partners and dealing with impending pregnancy at just 16. Yes, this will have sexual contact, as the, let's just say, rating has says. This is more to adult contacts, with dangers coming not just from them, but even other creatures. What was he supposed to do? Okay, this is the notes. Translates into Portuguese. I'm sorry if my words of these is very wrong. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to actually pronounce these best. Available a Cernosa doso draken by so this is like if you're Portuguese, then you can read it by Shane Windsor. See the end of the work of other works inspired by this one. Yes, there is another work with this, but the person who done it first kind of stopped at a point. So Starlight Massacre. Oh, but redone it. So, welcome to the Draken Life is Chapter 1. Title: Rise of the Drakens. Reading: R. Warning: / violence, morsome, language, blood, merp, creature fic. Originally, Draco X Harry X Blaze is now Draco X Harry X Blaze X original male character X original male character. Yes, this is just like a 4-way relationship. It will be explained in the story. You know, the freaking original 2 characters are mwah, perfect. You don't know. I do not own anything. This disclaimer. I'm hating my wording right now. I hate my words. How I'm wording stuff. I don't own anything from Harry Potter. All rights go to J.K. Rowling. I'm making no money for this piece of fictional writing and never will. I would not want to make money off of this either. I just want to read this fanfic just for fun and let YouTube and other people on YouTube to actually hear it Actually, if you want to read it on your own and not from me, then I told you where it is. You can read it, but if you want to hear me read it, then yes. But I do not want to make money off of this story. As her Starlight Mascara says, no. Same with me. I don't want to make this as money off of as money. The chapter was adapted from Beautiful Cuckoo's on fanfic net and was originally called Dragon Kind. The dragon concept is hers, not mine. I just fiddle about with it. This first chapter is made up of bits and pieces of the first chapter she wrote before putting her story up for adoption. I've tweaked it and added a lot to it, but to underlying plot for this one chapter is hers. Everything after this one chapter is mine. As you can tell, she wrote a lot of chapters, 116, which I've read, and it's very heart emotional for like 2 or 3 chapters. I cried. I get very emotional around Angus and very sad chapters and stories because it's stuff. The Rise of the Draken, Chapter 1. Welcome to a Draken Life. Harry James Potter woke up slowly, guided, right. I'm just going to sketch that word. In the early hours of a morning on his 16th birthday. Not knowing what had woken him up, but he found out soon as he realized something was his changed eyesight. Everything was so perfectly clear, even in the near darkness of the early morning. He had never seen with such startling clarity before. Even with his glasses on, and now the dim box bedroom of number 4 Private Drive was like a whole new experience to the young wizard. A tiny dust moments. I'm sorry for now on through this live stream of reading this. If I get stuck on a word, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, sorry. Floating in the air, the invisible stroke of paint on the bedroom walls. The specks of dirt on the carpet, he could see it all. Colors he noticed were more vibrant, and there was so much more to everything. Even colors, even every colors, every shape, every pattern. He never knew they were so many shades of white. Before his eyesight were better than any human could hope to achieve. After staring for 20 minutes at a pattern the wood grain made it in his battered second-hand dresser, Harry feared he had better see what other changes he might gain while he had been sleeping. Hopefully they were as wonderful as his new-founded eyesight. After listening for a few silent minutes to check to make sure the Dursleys were still asleep, he tiptoed down the hall to the bathroom. Upon entering the cool tile room, you could only stare in shock at the reflection staring back at him in the mirror. The boy in the mirror was about 5'5", little taller than he'd been when he'd gone to sleep. His face was not as round anymore, but thinner. He had high cheekbones, a thin nose that was placed neatly over full lips. His eyes were deep emerald green, framed by long, soothing lashes. His hair was pure silk, connected down to the middle of his back like an inky black waterfall, which was also very new. There was no way the Dursley wouldn't notice that his hair had grown 7 inches overnight. His body was still slender, but he was a little more shapely than he's been. His waist was pulled in under his rib cage. His hips were bigger and more rounded than they had been before. He had strong long legs and a pert bum. Sorry about that. His skin was perfectly smooth and Demolished. Not a freckle or scar mirrored the iron flesh that was new too. Every scar he had when he got to sleep that night before it was gone. All of them bar one, the lightning bolt on his forehead. And there had been quite a few of them now too. But now with them all gone, with all the other changes, he was beautiful. That wasn't a word that he would have ever picked to refer to him before. After stripping off his clothes, his clothes to get a better look at himself, Harry appeared once more in the mirror. He could hardly believe the reflection in the mirror was actually him. He twirled around before he glanced something caught his eye. He looked closer, trying to see what it had caught his attention. He gasped suddenly, partly in shock, partly in horror, as he caught sight of what caught the warm light. Scales! He had hundreds of tiny scales on his skin. They were small, white scales, so perfectly blended in with his pale skin that he could barely tell that they were there at all. After looking closer, he saw that the scales were all over his body. They started at the top of his neck and went down to his shoulders and back. They came down his bum and legs. They glittered on his chest and stomach as well, reflecting the harsh bathroom light. The scales did not cover every inch of him, but were in some sort of interdical random design. Looking at his face, he saw that there were scales there as well, but they were much smaller than the others. That they were easily missed or overlooked unless you knew that they were there. They were on his forehead, circling the lightning bolt scar, but not actually going near it. And they speckled over his cheekbone, following over the bridge of his nose like a masquerade mask. Looking closer, Harry also spotted the scales on his chin, neck, and they were even on his ears. He couldn't believe it. This had to be some swear restless scream. What the hell am I? He wondered in slight panic. Maybe I'm sort of snake or lizard, perhaps a dragon. Do I actually have wings or anything? No sooner he had finished that particular thought when he felt an acute searing pain in his back. He fell to his knee and gasping as quietly as he could so that he didn't wake up his relatives, as he felt a strange weight upon his shoulder, a ripping sensation, and a warm liquid gushing down his bare back, which would be blood running down his back, or the liquids from something. Glancing fearfully up in the mirror, he saw there was indeed a wing spreading from his back. They were attached to him by thin but solid produced bone that started at the base of his neck, joining up with his shoulder blades, and merged with the middle of his rib cage to support the huge wings on his back. He was bleeding heavily. The wings were covered thickly in blood and mucus like membrane. Okay. The patch of the leather white wings that were clean of blood were covered in the same white scales as the rest of his body, only they were larger, more easily seen, and had ridges that could be felt where the scales on his face and his body were completely smooth to the touch. Harry stared in awe at the beautiful appendage he had just gained. They were almost as tall as he was. He flexed them carefully, experimentally, wanting to get used to the feeling of them. He stretched them out as wide as they would go, being mindful of the bathroom appliance and the light fixture above him. He made a rough statement that his wingspan was probably about 11 or 12. I wonder if I could fly with these. It would be so much better than flying on a broom. I wonder if I can get them to go away as easily as they can. The wings seemingly reacted into his back with just a thought and a slight twitch to his back muscles. Thankful without as much pain as sky them out has been. I better get back to my room before the Dursley wakes up. I really don't want to deal with him right now. I just want to get my things ready, Harry thought to himself as he redressed and padded back to his bedroom. Thanks, Merlin. I don't have to spend another night in the house. I don't know why I was sent back here in the first place. Voldemort is gone now, and the Death Eaters are all an accident. Well, most of them, anyways. I will be just as safe as in Lake Cauldron. Back in his room, dressed once more in his too large clothing, Harry decided to do some self-research. He wanted to know what sort of creature he had become, so getting out all of his books on magical creatures, he flipped through them all until finally in the last and the thickest of the book, one that Hank has gave him the year previous as a birthday present, he found a short description that could possibly explain his creature inheritance to him. Drackens, or dragon kind. Dragons are a rare breed of magical creatures. They believed to be nearly extinct with the number of creature population dropping significantly as more dragons choose to breed with humans to avoid detection, causing the blood to dilute and eventually die out. The dropping of dragon population can also be accounted to wizards who hunt dragons for their blood, organs, and scales, which are used for certain potions, rituals, and spells. Dragon has been classed as a dark creature since the 1840s by the British, American, Asian, and Europe Ministry of Magic. Has constantly been the main men as a dangerous threat to civilization. It can't be. There are rumors to be less than 100 living dragons worldwide. Though it is unclear if this number is accurate, as dragons have become adept at hiding their different characters and making it easier for them to blend in with human beings. Interesting. I wonder if there are any dragons at Hogwarts. Surely I'm not the only one. But then again, if they are so few worldwide. Harry shrugged off those morbid thoughts and turned back to the book. There are two kinds of dragons: the dominant and the submissive dragon, or the alpha dragon and the beta dragon, or the alpha dragon and the dominant dragons or the alpha dragons, or some cultures have come to know them as, or 90% of the time, males. There have been only 2 reports of proven cases of dominant female dragons. Dominants are always much larger and more vicious. Their submissive counterparts. This is to protect their submissive and any offspring they might have. Dominant dragons are very possessive of what they deem is theirs, or are very territorial. Or no, let's freaking more territorial. Forget. Most due to the dragon blood in their veins, a dominant dragon will be at his most vicious and dangerous when his submissive is in its heat, is pregnant, or is nesting. Any threat to his submissive or his young will be removed as quickly as he is able to do so. Dominant dragons appear to be outwardly cold and cruel. It's only when with his submissive designed that he will show any tenderness. But even then, the dark side of the dragon will show through, as the dominant dragon will still be wrath, unknowing of his own strength. A dominant dragon will punish him if he feels someone has done wrong, though he will never cause the submissive any permanent harm. As a dragon, like their dragon counterparts, it's very vain and prideful creature, and having a beautiful flawed submissive will be a source of great pride for a dominant. The dominant counterpart is the submissive dragon or beta dragon. Sorry about that, guys. Beta dragon, who is artistically famous, though there have been several reports submissive male dragons now have been verified, as their dominant partners have always sent them away before verification can take place. Submissive male dragons, like dominant females, are expansionally rare. It's rumor believes that submissive male dragons are capable of carrying and giving birth to young, but it seems that is only possible if the small dragon breeds with a dominant dragon, as it's best tested for that copulating with a human male blocks a submissive dragon natural breeding cycle, result in the dragon becoming barren and unable to convince a child. This is not true, however, of a dominant dragon who is fully able to impregnate a human woman or a man. If he so chooses, the male submissive and the female dominant or anomalies. Without further proof, we are unable to separate the facts from fiction on whether or not submissive males can impregnate humans like their dominant male counterparts, or if their dominant females turn barren when breeding with a human like their submissive male counterparts. Though submissive dragons are smaller than their dominant counterparts, they can be just as dangerous if provoked. Nearly 90% of the dominant deaths caused by submissive dragons were over the dragon's offspring being threatened or harmed. Submissive will rarely kill for their dominant, as exactly like their dragon ancestor. The dominant male is suspected to take care of himself and his family. It is his mission to protect the young and not her dominant. A submissive may, in some cases, have more than one dominant mate. Powerful sub-dragon requires more than one dominant to impregnate her for the concept to take up. It is unclear as to why, as the dragons are so few in number, nearly all of them hide themselves away as safety precaution. Both dominant and submissive dragons are extremely durable, adaptable, and nocturnalist, hard to kill. Because of the tough skin, and most spell will not affect a dragon, and their scales are highly reflective, allowing spells to just bounce right off of them. The only expectation is a killing curse. Drinks are also reported to be allergic to salt water, which will prolonged exposed skin cause the skin of a dragon to become irritated and inflammable. Though the allergy is not deadly, it can cause serious harm, including itching, burning, boil, if in contact with the eyes of a dragon for any extended period of time. Cause blindness. The characters and feature of a dragon include scales. Dominant dragon have scale covering approximately 50 or 60% of their body, including their wings, which are covered entirely with scale, just 1 inch apart from one another. Dominant will have darker color scales ranging from black to dark reds, blues, greens, purples, etc. Submissive dragons have scales covering approximately 75 to 80% of their body. Submissive dragon wings are also entirely covered with scale and an inch apart from one another. But the submissive dragon differ from the dominant because a smaller dragon's scales will slightly outside white and will with time change to reflect the colors of their dominance. Wings. A dominant dragon wings are large and powerful, much like the dominant dragon himself, spanning up to 25 feet in length. Depending on how old, how tall, how heavy, or powerful the dragon is, dominants will display their wings for a potential mate. The larger the wings, the more impressive they will be to the submissive. Special wings are not as large as their dominant counterparts, spanning about approximately 13 or 14 feet at most. This is mostly because the submissive is smaller and lighter than the dom, and also because the submissive does not need her wings to attach a dominant mate to her. Both submissive dragons can use their wings for flight and can travel for long distance at great height without the need to stop for rest or without the worry of altitude. Fangs, claws. Say about this, guys, but I have to clear history. Both dominant and submissive dragons have fangs and claws, though these will constantly bigger on the dominant dragon. The fangs and claws are usually kept sheathed until needed for killing, hunting, or protecting. Both are large and deadly, but a submissive dragon claws are very acidic. The acid is secretly in the nails' bedding and can coat the claws in a second. The acid is so carcinogenic a few swipes can burn a medium-sized hole through a human body. Breeding cycle. Submissive dragons go into heat several times a year, but besides this, it's believed that there's only 2 periods of time in a single year in which a dragon can be impregnant. Breeding cycles vary which each submissive, but most common times for a dragon to become pregnant is in the winter. Average range of days for the submissive dragon to be in heat is 10 days, in which the dominant dragon will breed his almost continually to ensure the largest possible number of offspring. Neither the lemon nor summer will feed during this time of continuous mating. Practically, the gestation period of a submissive dragon is approximately 7 months. During this time, the dominant male will be so severely protected of his summit that he will rarely let her out of his sight. He will not let anyone near her, not even family members. The only exception to this if the submissive dragon has more than one dominant mate, in which case only the other dragon will be allowed near her. It is believed that in order to keep the offspring healthy and growing strong, the dominant dragon will need to share its fluids with the submissive. He will do this by kissing his mate to share his love, touching to share his sweat, his I'm not going to say that word, I'm just going to say something. Come into his mate to give his semen and feeding his blood to his mate and child. Symptoms of dragons pregnant include nauseous, irritation, dizzy, sensitive to cold, craving raw meat, and accidental burst. When close to birthing, the submissive dragon will feel a need for high or dark foods. Once the man is fine and swiftness, they'll stay there until after the birth. I hate my breath. A submissive birthing. A submissive dragon will give birth alone. The dominants will not be permitted entering to the nest until after the birthing is over. A submissive will give birth to between 1, 7, or 8 young or chicks, as they have been labeled by the ministry. Once the birth is over, the new mother has nursed the chicks. The fathers will be allowed to enter the nest. Chicks will nurse for 12 weeks before becoming mature enough to be weaned if the mother is a witch, too. Harry closed the book. Having read the small structure through several times, he swallowed heavily, placed the book down with his quivering hands. He had now had so many questions, almost no way to find out the answers. No one would have asked about it. I'm a submissive dragon, he thought detachedly, willing his hands to keep still as they shook continually. I'm going to have a dominant dragon as my mate. I'll be expected to be birthed to dragon young. Harry breathed evenly and deeply to spell the racing bout. A panic that was causing to hyperventilate. He had gone to sleep as a human. He had woken up as a submissive dragon, a male submissive dragon, which were thought to be mere legends and not actually real. It's okay, I can handle this. It's not completely horrible. He coached himself, trying to not make any noise. As he walked to his window, he watched the world in the early morning. I think I could try being a dragon. Of course, I've never been able to tell anyone what I am. There's no one out just without something as alive alerting as this. Maybe Remus, 2 dragons and werewolves get along with each other, or are they like werewolves and vampires? They must do. After all, Remus was friends with Mom and Dad, and they have been dragons to have made me. I wonder if anyone knew about them being dragons. Probably not. Well, if my parents didn't tell Remus then, maybe I shouldn't either. Harry sighed in pretext of keeping this from Remus. The man who had been his rock these past few months following Sarah's death. Think of Sarah's maid. Harry wondered if his guy would have known about his mom and dad being dragons. Sarah was his godfather, for fuck's sakes. Had been his dad's best friend. The dragon transformation have happened when his parents were 16 as well. Surely someone close to his dad as Sirius would have noticed the change that made him think about his parents getting together. They haven't done it so till they were 17. But if their drinking genes came out at 16, what had happened during the gap year? They were been in school together. Sirius has said his dad had fallen in love with his mom from the moment he had laid eyes on her, upon her. So why had it taken a year for them to get together? After their inheritance, he doubted that he would ever find out how. Think about his parents got him thinking about himself. He didn't like anyone. He hadn't fallen in love with anyone at first. He hadn't even had time to sexually explore anything, let alone practice like he knew his yearmates had. What if someone didn't like him? The section he had read hasn't said anything about that. But it did explain why he couldn't force himself to look girls like Ron. Probably explain why he didn't drool over Flora until he had like all the other boys. I guess that's explain why I have no interest in women at all. I'm not meant to be with one. A man would be able to protect me better anyways. If he's strong and powerful, he can help me protect our children, my mate. I would have to be proud and handsome and strong. Look at me strong. Oh dear, Harry. I fear for you. The thought made him purr deeply into the light before Harry came to his senses and pulled away from the window. What the hell did that trail of thought come from? Baby said 60. His mind has been playing a trick on. Relax and calm down. Harry soothed himself, wrapping his arms around him for comfort. This is your natural instinct. The jungle population is dwindling. Your instincts are going to scream at the addition to the numbers. You better get used to it. Fighting will only bring more pain. I have enough pain at last lifetime. Trying to let yourself to be happy. This kid can't be alright in the end. Just wait and see. Harry sighed again. He was tired of fighting. He was sick of pain. He wanted to be happy. He wanted a strong, powerful mate to call his own. And he definitely wanted children to love, protect, and care for. I have a family of his own, children to rely on, who would depend on him and love him. I also have a mate to protect him, to love and care for him. He needed this, and thanks to his parents for being draken so that he could have the chances of happiness. Harry turned from the window and put the book back into his trunk before he sat down on the bed. He could not let anyone but his mates see him in his true form. He would have to practice at controlling his parents. First, he stripped off his shirt again, and willing his wings to appear. The process was less painful this time around, but the wings were still accompanied by blood, and Harry took the time to clean his wing and to stroke his scales. A shiver and like just touching his wings was something more pleasurable than stroking himself the few times that he had masturbated. Calming down and deciding not to touch his wings again like that, he concentrated on getting his claws and fangs to appear. It took a bit more capturing and willpower to get them both to come out at the same time, but they did. His claws were an inch longer and razor sharp. He wondered how much acid he could produce, but no amount of wailing made the acid come. Harry reasoned that he must be in danger before the acid will secrete. Just running his claw lightly over his bedspread slashed it into ribbons. His claws would be able to tear through flesh like a hot knife through butter. Oh dear. His fangs were equally sharp, though not quite as long as his claws. There were 4 of them, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. The upper fangs rested comfortably on his bottom lip without piercing it when his mouth was closed. Next, Harry concentrated on wheeling them away. The first his fangs, then his claws, then the beautiful white wings that had finally used all of his concentration to hide his scales away. This has the unforeseen reaction of his hair recently rapidly into his scalp, so was its unusual messy mop. Once it was over, Harry looked at himself. Of the window, everything was exact the same as it when he had gone to sleep that night before. The only thing Harry didn't concentrate on removing was his new eyesight. He had been blinded for so many years that now that he had the freedom of not wearing glasses, he wasn't going to. When I asked him about it, he simply told them that he had gotten laser eye surgery during the summer. But he doubt anyone noticed, let alone comment on it. No one ever saw saw the scars anyway. Not even Ron or Hermione, apparently. He had no words for anyone that entire summer. He had been here in number 4, not then he had really been expecting any. Not after his fall out with Ron during the last term of school. Harmony not wanting to jeopardize her shiny new budding relation with the redhead. Not make contact with Harry either. He was sure that they would get over their jealousy eventually, but he was not so sure that he would be willing to forgive them this time. Hermione maybe, because this was the first time that she ever turned her back on him, but Ron hoped to stay friends with someone who has proven that he would turn on him time and time again. He had been whisked away to Grimmauld Place, the one place that Harry never wanted to get. The memories of being were so adequate that he found he had no appetite for Mrs. Weasley cooking, which made her worry and fuss over even more. He found that he couldn't sleep that night, though that might have been because of the fact that he wasn't still sharing a room with Ron, who hasn't spoke a word to him all summer. I hadn't even looked at him past a few withering glares and stare. Harry could muster to himself as Ron and Hermione whispered together and snog in the corner of the rooms of Grimmauld Place. He heard the adults worry over him, some less than polite comments that he was deranged and non-hydrated after a serious stab. Something he had never been right in the head to begin with. There was being at such a moody and slow. He always smiled when Remus and Oliver was to find him visually. Often violently, and one older man would have immediately the housework special over his head after pushing Mrs. Weasley to fire. He assured everyone who asked that he was fine, and really he was. He didn't much like being in Grimmauld Place again, but he had mostly beating himself up with his own thoughts on being a dragon. He worried about everyone he met being a dominant dragons. He had nightmares about getting pregnant as a male and sometimes had little panic fits of becoming a creature. But he was really fine. He felt liberty free. Harry supposed that had something to do with the wings that attached to his back. He loved flying, the wonderful free sensation of the wind through his hair, to know he could up and fly anyways whenever he wanted to. It relaxed him, eased his tension in his shoulders, calmed him, but not one believed him. Ginny stayed close to him, so did Fred and George, make him laugh and smile and peek out of his shell a spit, which eased a few of the adults worried over him. As they watched him play a game of tag with Ginny around the kitchen, ducking under the tables, weaving around chairs, knocking people over, Fred and George joined in. Even Charles forgot he was an adult and he was tagged by Fred, which was more of a head slap, though. George did not only go for Fred, so Harry reasoned that maybe he wasn't actually playing with them, but attempting to murder his brother instead. The game was only called to stop when dinner was ready, and Harry ate immediately, but nothing less more than he had to fire at Grimmauld Place, which made more choppier. August was really uneventful, as Harry got up with the homework and happened to be able to do the Dursley with the help of Remus and Belle. He moved about a bit, playing with silly games with Ginny, and helped Fred and George with their joke shop creation, while avoiding Ron and Hermione like the plague. Several times Harry come and talk to him, but Ron either recaptured her interest or Harry darted away before she could open her mouth. He didn't want to speak to them. When the morning September 1st rolled around, Harry was still in the kitchen, waiting for everyone to be ready so they could set off for King's Cross Station, and then on to Hogwarts. He had been packed and empty his trunk just to pack it back up a few weeks later. "How are you feeling, Harry?" Remus asked sadly, as he sat with him in the kitchen, listening to the herd of elephants herding up and down the stairs. August Black screaming with all her might about multiple centuries. "Fine. I feel excited, but nothing like how I was when I was younger," he answered calmly. Harry looked at him straight. "You seem to have summer gotten more childish and more mature this summer. You're playing with those strong games with Jenny to keep her from being bored. You seem to have become an adult before your time." Harry's finding the room, his soul surviving father figure. Several times over the months he had wanted dreams about his draken returns, but every time he bottled them. What was he supposed to say? What if he went to badly? What if an owl's name become an outlaw? What would he go then? What would he do? He could have taken Harry Rumsey, we need to go. Mrs. Weasley shouted from the hall. Her voice just smidged louder than Burke. Harry jumped up and hugged Remus. I'm not that it made a blind bit of difference to who held him back. Come on, Cub. Are you sure you're all ready to go? Harry nodded his head. Everything's packed. I have my new books and school supplies. I made double sure that I packed my socks and boxers. Look, oh, I couldn't get out of here. I must look at him suddenly, knowing what he meant. It was hard for him to be a child when he had fond memories of an adult. Soon before he had been taken once again from his life. He had stand mainly for Harry to a lesser extent to say goodbye to his old friend because he hadn't had the chance before he died. Is everyone on her way to Hogwarts? Yes, as he saw Harry cart around and be. Yes, I let her go yesterday so she could be there waiting for me. Alright then, let's go before Molly showed us again. Harry grinned and calmly gave him one more hug before heading in the hallway with a flashing minutes and troop of people trying. How are we going to get to the platform? There's see cars again. We're still in Harry's question. Harry started but climbed the car that didn't have Ron or Hermione in it. He reached the curb that dark green car. No, even if he did end up in the adult car, at least that meant he had a bit more time with Remus. 11 hours late found a sleepy and very hungry Harry taking a seat to the Gryffindor table in the Great Hall. He sat down at the end, had no wish to sit near his ex-friends, he reminded himself bitterly. He got a few curious looks from his classmates, but ignored them. It was none of their business anyway. Tom kind of when Professor McGonagall brought out the sorting out that tattered old hat song, its usual song of the houses, but it also gave a cheerful cryptic message about the rival houses soon being united. The new first years were sorted into their house. The last student, a tiny blond boy, took a seat at the room table, and finally, after the headmaster had made his usual announcement, they were free to eat. Harry had been careful not to pile his plate solely with meat, as in the past he has eaten mainly fruit and vegetables due to his almost non-existent diet of the Dursley. He had found the fruits and vegetables he had lined his stomach better than meat and stopped the hunger pain for longer. But Lady has been craving meat more and more ever since his birthday. Except in endurance, actually. It must have been part of the being a dragon. The bloodier the meat, the better in his opinion. So he placed a large piece of blue rare steak on his plate, along with the vegetables and chips. I wanted to try avocado himself, thinking how delicious what would taste. It felt something fresh to sink his teeth into. The thought made him shudder, and it was not with disgust. As he was about to take a bite of his steak, he was suddenly aware of a pair of eyes drilled into him. Fiercely looking around the source, he found no one until he glanced up at the table. It was Snape. Of course it was Snape. The Prussian Professor Black. Eyes bored into him. Harry could not discreet look nor what he had done to gain himself such a look. He had only been here for an hour. Harry went to my answer for more very quickly lower than the he knew found instinct telling him that was that attempt on me to protect him. He was always terrified with someone who could harm him, glancing cautiously at the man from beneath his lashes. He still same eyes and suspicion. He looked away from the man and kept his head down for the rest of the dinner. He couldn't afford anyone, least of all Snape, finding out about a secret. A ticklet sent reaches out all at once. His body started quivering, and he tingled, as if his scales were trying to make unwanted appearance. He pushed the feeling back ruthlessly. He couldn't afford to let them appear not now, not in front of his own body. It would only spell utter disaster for him. If he had read the expect right, it might be spell his death. Just started come and gone, and him as her finally sent the children off to bed. Harry waited until the hall emptied out a bit before heading up to Gryffindor. Once he entered his room, he ignored Freeman. It's good night to Samus. Dean and Neville before he tied close his bed hangings to strip off his clothes. But despite being worried the Saint would find out about his secret, he fell asleep almost immediately. It was 2 weeks into terms, and the light scent was driving him crazy. It was constantly around him, as if the actual castle was someone making it. It was driving him to the brink of destruction, and he was at unworldly battles with himself to force the dragon side down. No one else knows, of course, but Harry counted constantly. Oh dear. But Harry counted this as a blessing. That last thing he needed right now was another round of newspaper article of how crazy and unstable he was after he defeated Voldemort several months ago. Snape was also watching him mentally. The man was obviously unshakable, no matter how much Harry tried to act invisible or diverted his life. Diverted his attention to something else. Those eyes were always there, watching him say so. Snape thought that he was up to something unsavory. Until Harry stopped being so jumpy and nervous, he was unlikely to stop. But Harry was just so worried that Snape would figure out that he was a dragon, that he couldn't control it. He needed a dominant. He couldn't face off against Snape on his own. Not now that he hadn't come into a specific inheritance. Not when he had considering so much on making sure his scales and wings wouldn't just appear one day glass for everyone to see. It was Halloween night, and Harry had no interest in attending the feast. Instead, he was taking full advantage of everyone else being at the feast, let his chicken side out for the first time in 2 months. He was deep in a forbidden forest. The moon, though not full as it was morning, was very bright tonight, and lit the way for the young dragon. He was weaving his way through the undergrowth. Not that he needed the light. As a dragon, he had excellent night vision, but the moon was so big and beautiful tonight. Harry was glad that it was there to light up the sky. After walking steadily for over 30 minutes, Harry deduced that he was far enough away from the skull and called his dragon Future's Fort. It has been so long since he's been able to, and now that he could finally do so, he felt an tension bliss of letting it go. His hair, his scales, his wings, his claws, and his fangs all made their appearance. The white scales that covered his wings and grew in patches on his face, the neck and hands glowing dimly in the moonlight. It was a beautiful sight to see. Not to anyone was there to appreciate other than himself. Now the liquid relief of letting his dragon appearance had diminished. There was something else that had been waiting to take care of the past 3 months. Tasting raw meat. Opening his new enhanced senses wide, he listened for a certain movement. He could hear squirrels in the nest, owls hunting for their breakfast, rabbits nibbling on clovers, mice scurrying along in underbushes, and he heard what he's been listening for. Footfalls on the leaf ground about 30 yards ahead of him were 4 deers. An instant air was off, running with lightning speed, and before anything was altered, he had sunk his fang into a jugular vine of a small no. Mother, oh dear. He wasn't strong or experienced enough to go for a buck. He left that to his dominant mate. The 3 remaining deer had scattered, bounding off into the forest. The deer that Harry had latched onto kicked in an effort to free itself. He swiftly sliced through its neck with his claws, silencing it for good. The taste of blood was intoxicating, and Harry could hardly keep himself from moaning aloud. Using his claws as fangs, he tore off chunks of still warm flesh. Devouring it. It was almost delicious thing he had ever eaten. He
couldn't get enough. He crouched down and dug into it, tearing away at the hide with his fangs and claws to reach the tender meat underneath. Halfway through his meal, though, Harry still instinctively he cocked his oathing, annoying to feel blood pouring down his neck from his chin. He was trying to puzzle out what had disturbed him. There was something out there. He had stumped himself to the left and growled menacingly. The girl that answered him was a deep, earth-rumbling growl that shook him to his core. Harry shrank. The figure that stepped out behind the cube of cheese at the edge of the clearing had chose to eat. It was a tall sinner, but not, that wasn't what showing him. No, he was a dominant dragon. The first thing Harry knows about the dragon was his wing, the span at least 20 feet, to easily dwarf in his own, which has pulled and tighter to cling himself to protect him. The thing that Harry noticed was the man himself was tall, running 6'3", was very muscular for such a slender body. He was not wearing a shirt. Scales done in bottomless obsidian, and a deep dark amethyst were scattered over the man's wing. Olive scales pecked out over his bare tanned skin that Harry could barely make out. His hair was as black as the scales was chopped into layers that just covered his ears. His face was smooth and strong, angular and exotic looking. His latent indigo eyes were cold and hard, but filled with warm lusting as they devoured as much as Harry's skin as they could. Near the face, especially of the snake, the man took a breath from Harry's lung, took the oxygen from the very air around him. As he took a deep, chilling breath, the dragon opposite him made his move. Starlight Massacre X. Well, I hope you liked the first chapter. That's going to be all for this stream. Well, bye. See you. Rosling Immigrant